Welcome to episode 22 of When Safeguarding Fails, the Lizzie Gladwell Crisis. I'm Jeremy Gladwell, Lizzie's dad, and I'm telling the heartbreaking true story of how our daughter, a vulnerable young person, was taken, isolated, and subjected to coercive control, and how she was cast adrift by the agencies tasked with safeguarding. Warning, this episode contains distressing content and offensive language. On the evening of Thursday 23rd of May 2024, I was stood in the kitchen and Jane came in holding her phone. "I've had a text," she said, showing me the screen. It was a classic Lizzie opener of "Hi, kiss." Jane responded with a suitably cautious "Hello, kiss kiss." I checked my own phone and I saw the same "Hi" from Lizzie. I replied in the same tentative spirit, and we returned to the living room. By this time, Jane was 2 or 3 steps ahead of me in her conversation with Lizzie. Lizzie had asked if Jane was okay, to which Jane replied, "No, not really." When Lizzie asked why, Jane explained that she could not go into detail over text, but was happy to discuss it in person on a walk. "You could call me," Lizzie replied. "Why won't you tell me? I'm your daughter." Calling Lizzie was not really an option. We had no way of knowing if she was alone or if it was safe to call, and it was quite possible that calling her could put her in danger. Just as Jane was responding to the text, her phone rang. Jane looked panicked. "It's Lizzie," she said. We found ourselves in the appalling situation where a call from our own daughter caused anxiety. Unfortunately, past experiences had taught us that a call from Lizzie often heralded drama and heartache. Jane answered the phone. Lizzie said "Hi" and then sniffed. Ever since she was taken from her home, Lizzie had had telltale allergic sniffs in almost every call. The Wilson-Clark family had no idea what foods triggered her allergies. More importantly, they didn't care. If they cared for Lizzie, they would have sought advice on what foods she should avoid. "Hi, honey," Jane replied. "Lovely to hear your voice." Lizzie asked Jane why she wouldn't say what was wrong.
"Sweetheart, I love you very much, but it's not a conversation that I'm willing to have over the telephone. It's not a conversation I'm willing to have over text. So, quite frankly, darling, it's the kind of thing that I'd be willing to talk about, just me and you in person, but I'm honeybee, as much as I love you, that the state I'm in, it's not something to discuss on the phone, hon."
"I'm your daughter, though," Lizzie replied. "You should tell me."
"You are my daughter, and I love you more than I could ever describe, my gorgeous girl." "You still there, honey?"
Another sniff, this time tearful, could be heard, followed by "Mm-hmm."
"I love you, my gorgeous."
Lizzie replied, "I love you too," her voice faltering with sadness.
"You don't sound very happy. You said you were okay." "If you want to come back to us, you can."
The moment was broken by a male voice on Lizzie's end of the line, angry and recognisable as Lewis. "Get out!" Lizzie shouted, more anguished than angry. "Hello?" Jane said calmly, suppressing her rising anxiety. "Are you there, sweetie?" "I told you to get out now," Lizzie repeated. "Now, get out." There was a pause before she persisted. "I said get out." "Hun?" Jane's voice trembled with profound concern. "You okay?" We could hear noises, sounding like a scuffle and then a slight bang. In the immediacy of that worried moment, we had no idea what was happening, as we blindly tried to interpret the sounds coming through the telephone. "Lizzie, sweetheart," Jane continued. Lewis's voice returned, almost incoherent with fury and contempt. "Don't slam the door ever again," he raged. "Fuck off," Lizzie yelled back at him. We then heard a sound that terrified us in an instant, a yelp, the kind of noise a dog might make if it were kicked or stepped on. A brief, single sound of shock, stress, pain. Was it a shove, a punch, a hand around the throat? Here is the actual clip. Listen for the yelp at the end. What do you make of it?
Don't slam the door! Ever again! Fuck off!
This was Lizzie's boyfriend, the son of Coral, the one that the agencies had been defending, denying any indication of coercive control, intimidation, threat, fear, harm, or risk. According to adult social care and the police, all was well, and they had no misgivings whatsoever about Lizzie's well-being. We disagree. That clip again.
Don't slam the door! Ever again! Fuck off!
Honey, are you okay? Babes? You still there? Honey, please answer me. Do we need to call the police? We can dial 999 and call the police if you need them round there, honey. All you have to do is say something that we will understand, that is a code.
Jane asked a question that only Lizzie would know the answer to. A sniff could be heard. We knew Lizzie was still there, but she did not say anything.
Are you all right? Are you safe? Oh, my gorgeous girl. I know the fact that you're not answering me means you're not safe, but I need you to be able to say something so that we can call the police on your behalf.
She's not there. She's dropped the phone or something, because the voices were distant from the phone.
No, I can hear her sniffing. Oh, honey. Come home. You are loved, you are wanted. Come home. Oh, my gorgeous girl.
Say something, Lizzie, I interjected. Nothing.
You don't have to stay there. You can come home. You can come where it's safe. Please, honey. There are people at college you can speak to. You can speak to the social worker. There are so many people that you can speak to. All you have to do is say, "Take me home," and they will. That is not a nice place to be. We just heard that horrible slamming and what have you. Are you there, darling?
I don't think she's there.
But what do we do?
You have to leave it running for the minute.
I can't hear her.
No. She's dropped the phone.
But what's going on?
But you leave it running just in case something kicks off.
Do we ring the police? She rang me.
We would have to listen to the... we'd have to listen to the phone.
Yeah, but the thing is, her phone is still connected to mine. And there's nothing. I am so worried for her. We heard raised voices. We don't know who the raised voices were at.
Why would she drop her phone and absolutely connected?
I don't know what to do.
Right. I think we have to get the police's judgment on it.
Are you going to ring 999? I've left it connected. It's at 7 minutes 28 and I can't hear anything. Oh, please, darling, please answer.
Police, please. Thank you. Hello. Well, it's more Humberside, really, so I don't know what to do about that. Because it's, oh, hang on.
Oh, no, the call's ended. The call's ended.
Yes, it would be Humberside,
oh, gosh.
please, yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
The call's ended. She didn't even say goodbye. I'm going to leave that running because you're in terms of the call with the police, if that's recorded as well on top of it.
Humberside Police. You can get help from 101 online. If you would like to receive a link in a text, press 1. Otherwise, please continue to hold and we'll connect you to the 101 phone.
It's the 101 phone number.
What?
Good evening. Thank you for calling Humberside Police. As the Chief Constable, I want us to deal with your inquiry as quickly as possible.
Have you just done 999?
Yeah.
It's put
Someone
you
who
through
is
to
in
that?
police custody who is over 18, unfortunately,
Just put me...
we are unable to provide any information. Did you know you can now report a number of incidents online or talk to us via the web chat?
Disgraceful.
Going to www.
So they could be beating her to a pulp,
yeah.
and we're waiting through this fucking stupid... Oh!
Following options.
Property inquiries
Property inquiries.
or hold for the switchboard.
Switchboard.
Oh, my dear life!
Yeah, okay. Right, well, I'll ask it.
Please hold while we connect you.
So, as you've heard, We endured a deeply distressing call with Lizzie that epitomised the trauma and peril of this crisis for both us and her. Lizzie had sounded upset from the start. There was an altercation, rage, a mysterious but deeply worrying yelp, several minutes of silence, and then the call abruptly ended. And once again, our encounter with Humberside Police simply made it worse. The cheesy hold music and the menu options. We eventually spoke to a disinterested switchboard operator who took details and information about the case, only to pass us on to someone else who took the same details and information about the case. Meanwhile, anything could have been happening to Lizzie. As you might imagine, Jane was shattered by the end of this ordeal. Distress doesn't begin to capture her state of mind. Immediately following this traumatic call, motivated by frustration and desperation, I sent the following email to Gary Atkinson of Focus Adult Social Care and DC Roscoff of Humberside Police. Dear Gary and DC Roscoff, after a brief text exchange this evening, Lizzie unexpectedly called Jane. She sounded upset. I attach the call recording. We await the outcome of Humberside Police's visit this evening. Can somebody please regard this case as serious and needing urgent action to safeguard our precious daughter against those who have taken her from the safety of her home and are keeping her in a situation of coercion and abuse? While we were on the phone to Humberside Police, Jane received a text from Lizzie's phone which said, I can explain all that. We was having an argument and I was being a cow. It was my fault. I don't believe that this message came from Lizzie at all. It has all the hallmarks of the person with bruises claiming that they walked into a door. We have said consistently throughout that our daughter is a vulnerable young person at immense safeguarding risk. This evening is a clear illustration of that. Sincerely, Jeremy Gladwell. Neither Gary nor DC Roscoff acknowledged my email. The next day I called Lizzie's phone. It rang briefly before being cut off. I hoped that someone at Humberside Police might get back in touch to confirm whether they had actually visited the house, inform us of what happened, and crucially, reassure us that Lizzie was okay. By lunchtime there had been no communication. Desperate for information, I called 101. I was advised that an incident log had been raised and a police response unit had been sent to the house following our reported incident. The incident log had subsequently been superseded by a crime occurrence number. A crime occurrence number? Was that serious? I asked. How was Lizzie? He couldn't say. Because there was a crime occurrence number, I would need to contact the crime team by email for an update. I did exactly that, summarising the distressing events and pleading for an update as a concerned father. The following Tuesday, 5 long days after the incident that led to a 999 call, I still had heard nothing, with no word from Lizzie either. I sent a follow-up email requesting an update, expressing once again my immense concerns for Lizzie. I said, we are desperately worried about her safety and well-being and wish to know the outcome of our 999 call. I finally received a brief and bland response. Good evening. Many thanks for your email. I have asked the officer who is dealing with this occurrence to have a view. Due to GDPR, we are limited to what we can discuss with you as your daughter is over the age of 18 years of age. Kind regards. The General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, aims to protect personal data and ensure data accuracy. My request had nothing to do with GDPR. I was a distressed father, wondering if my daughter had been beaten up by her angry and violent boyfriend. Humberside Police used GDPR as a flimsy excuse to withhold information. To this day, they have never told me what happened that night, and we have not seen Lizzie at all to be able to ask her, 8 months on. Here's something I wish I'd known at the time, and I hope it's helpful to anyone else in a similar situation. According to the statutory guidelines from the College of Policing on working with victims and witnesses, investigators must provide key witnesses with updates on the progress of investigations, including the name of the investigating officer and contact details for the investigating officer. We received neither of those things from Humberside Police, despite the fact that Jane and I were key witnesses based on what we heard. Those same guidelines also state that officers should, quote, recognise the individual needs and concerns of witnesses and treat them with dignity and respect. Ditto. Not from Humberside Police. GDPR. I felt like sending an email to every relevant agency in capital letters demanding, why are we not allowed to see our daughter? Why is she not allowed to see us? These were critical questions. Why was Lizzie removed in such a deceptive manner? Why was she isolated from her family? Why was no agency willing to help or provide straightforward answers? What did we do to deserve such inhumane treatment? Why was everyone so silent? What were they hiding? What were we not being told? Perhaps we would finally get some answers when we had our next telephone conversation with DC Roscoff. It was to be our last. And Father's Day was only 2 weeks away. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of When Safeguarding Fails, the Lizzie Gladwell Crisis. If you found it moving or helpful, or if you think our story could help others, then please like, share, or simply tell others about it. Thank you again, and join me for the next episode.